My parents said it was just a joke when they left me stranded miles from home, but that was the day I stopped being their son, started building a life without them. Years later, when they came begging me for help, I gave them the exact same thing they once gave me. I used to think that no matter what happened in life, family would always be there for you. I thought that even if they made mistakes, deep down they'd care enough to protect you, to make you feel safe.
Oh.
But that was before I realized that not all families are built on love. Some are built on habits, on favoritism, on this unspoken hierarchy where some people matter more than others. And in my family, I was at the very bottom. I'm the older brother. My sister Emily is 3 years younger than me. You'd think being the firstborn meant I'd get some of that initial burst of parental pride, maybe a little extra attention while they figured out parenting. But the truth is, I can't remember a time when I was ever their priority. The moment Emily was born, she became the center of their universe, and I became the one expected to step aside. From the time she could walk, Emily was spoiled. If she wanted a toy, she got it. If she wanted the last piece of cake, it was hers. If she threw a tantrum, my parents bent over backwards to calm her down. When I got upset, I was told to stop being dramatic. Whenever there was a conflict between us, I already knew how it would play out. She'd cry, they'd comfort her, and I'd get blamed. They told me I was older and needed to set an example. That phrase became my personal prison. It meant my feelings didn't matter. It meant I could be punished for things I didn't even do, because keeping Emily happy was the top priority. Birthdays were the worst. I still remember my 12th birthday. I'd been excited all week, counting down the days.
Oh.
I woke up that morning hoping for something special.
I got a
Pair of socks? Emily, who had no reason for gifts, got a shiny new bike just because she's been doing so well in school. She was 8. I didn't complain out loud, but I guess my face gave me away. My mom narrowed her eyes and said, "Don't you dare sulk. You should be happy for your sister." So I learned to hide disappointment, to swallow it whole, and pretend it didn't matter. That became the pattern of my childhood, Emily getting the spotlight, me standing in the shadows. I convinced myself it was fine. I'd just work harder, study more, prove I was worth noticing. But no matter what I did, I never broke through that wall of indifference. The breaking point came when I was 17. It was summer break. And my parents decided we'd take a road trip. I actually let myself get a little excited about it. Figured maybe, just maybe, we'd have some good family time. We packed up the car early one morning and hit the highway. A few hours into the drive, my dad pulled into a gas station. He handed me a $5 bill and said, "Go grab us some snacks." It was a small, run-down station, the kind with buzzing fluorescent lights and dusty shelves. I picked out some chips, a couple of candy bars, and 2 sodas. I brought them to the counter, paid, and walked back outside. The parking lot was empty. At first, I thought maybe they'd just move the car to a different spot. I looked around, no car, no sign of them. My chest tightened. I scanned the road, thinking maybe they'd gone to a nearby diner. Nothing. I waited by the pumps, shifting from one foot to the other. 5 minutes turned into 10, then 30. I tried to call my mom's phone, no signal. The guy at the counter let me use the station phone. I called home, no answer. I left a message, asking where they were. I waited another hour before I finally got a text. It was from Emily. "Lo, Mom and Dad said you'll have to find your own way home. It's a joke." A joke. I stood there staring at the screen, feeling heat rise in my face. This wasn't a joke. I was stranded in the middle of nowhere with $5 in my pocket. No ride, no phone signal, and no idea how far I was from home. I ended up walking along the highway until I found a bus station in a small town. The bus took me part of the way, but I still had to walk several miles to get home. By the time I made it back, the sun was setting. My shoulders were sunburned, my legs ached, my stomach growled from having skipped lunch. When I walked in the door, they were all in the living room laughing. "Lighten up," my dad said. "We knew you'd be fine." I didn't laugh. I didn't even speak. Something inside me had snapped. It wasn't just anger. It was this cold realization that I could never count on them for anything. That night I lay awake in bed and decided I was done. Done chasing their approval. Done hoping they'd change. If I wanted a future worth having, I'd have to make it myself. A few months later, I graduated high school. While most of my classmates were celebrating with family dinners and parties, I packed a duffel bag with my clothes, a few books, and my old laptop. I found a tiny basement apartment through a friend from work and moved out quietly, without telling them exactly where I was going. I left a short note. I'll be fine. Don't wait up. Life on my own was hard. I worked 2 jobs, one at a grocery store, one delivering pizzas. My apartment was damp and smelled faintly of mildew, but it was mine. I taught myself new skills at night: web design, coding, marketing, anything that might help me climb out of minimum wage. There were nights when I was so tired I could barely keep my eyes open. Nights when I stared at the cracked ceiling and wondered if I'd made a mistake leaving. But every time doubt crept in, I remembered that gas station, that text message, the sound of their laughter when I walked through the door. That memory kept me going. By my mid-20s, things started to change. I launched a small online business, building websites for local companies. At first, it barely paid my bills. But I kept learning, kept improving, and slowly clients started referring me to others. Within a few years, I had a steady stream of work, a nice apartment, and my first real savings account. Eventually, I bought a modest house. I wasn't rich, but I was stable, independent, happy even. During those years, I didn't hear much from my family. Emily would send the occasional holiday texts. My parents never called. I told myself I didn't care, and for the most part, I didn't. I had friends who treated me better than my family ever had. I had a life I'd built from nothing, and I was proud of it. Then, one afternoon, I got a message from Emily. It said, "We need to talk. It's about Mom and Dad." I ignored it at first, but she sent another. "It's serious." We met at a coffee shop. She looked different. Tired, less polished than I remembered. She told me our parents were in trouble. They'd made bad investments, had mounting debts, and were dealing with medical bills they couldn't pay. She'd been helping them, but now she was struggling too. "They need you," she said. "We all need to stick together." Just stared at her. For years, I'd been invisible to them. Suddenly, I was useful. She told me they wanted to meet and talk. I agreed, partly out of curiosity. When I saw them, I barely recognized them. My dad looked older, his hair almost all gray. My mom's face was lined, her posture slouched. They tried to make small talk, asking about my computer thing, as they called it. Eventually, my dad cleared his throat and said, "We're family. We should help each other out. It's just until we get back on our feet." My mom nodded, avoiding my eyes. I listened, letting them lay out their situation. They needed money to cover overdue bills and avoid losing the house. Emily glanced at me hopefully. When they were done, I leaned forward and said, "Do you remember that time you left me at a gas station? You told me to find my own way home, said it was a joke." They shifted uncomfortably. My dad muttered, "We were young and stupid." My mom sighed. Emily looked down at her hands. I smiled. "Well, I found my own way in life. And now you'll have to find yours." I pulled out my wallet, took out a $5 bill, and placed it on the table, just like the one they'd given me that day. "That should get you started," I said. Then I stood up and walked out. They called after me, but I didn't look back. I walked to my car feeling lighter than I had in years. Not because I'd hurt them, because I'd finally closed the book on a chapter of my life that had been weighing me down. Some people say family is everything. Say family is the people who show up when you need them, who treat you with respect and kindness. Blood doesn't guarantee love. Sometimes walking away isn't losing, it's winning. I didn't just survive without them, I thrived. And in the end, I left them exactly where they left me, on their own. Stories like this aren't just entertainment. They're reminders that you have the right to walk away from people who don't value you. If you've ever been underestimated, ignored, or treated like you don't matter, remember, your comeback can be the sweetest revenge.